So you're trying to conceive, and it feels like you're getting advice from everyone, right? It can be completely overwhelming. That's why today we're going to cut right through all that noise. We are tackling 5 of the biggest fertility myths out there, using insights from top specialist Dr. Natalie Crawford to help you become the #1 advocate for your own body. Okay, let's just dive right in with a huge one. You get your period every single month, right on schedule. I mean, that's the gold standard, isn't it? That must mean everything is working perfectly. Well, turns out there's a little more to the story. And that brings us right to myth #1, this idea that a regular cycle is basically a bulletproof guarantee that your hormones are perfect. And while it is a great sign, don't get me wrong, there's more going on under the surface. It's such an easy assumption to make. Heck, even some doctors might hear regular cycle and figure, great, everything's fine, and then stop asking questions. But that way of thinking overlooks some really crucial details about what's actually happening inside your body. So here's what's really going on. Yes, having a regular cycle is a fantastic sign that you're probably ovulating. But the myth is that this ovulation is automatically a perfect 10 out of 10. The real clues are actually hidden in the length of the 2 different phases of your cycle. Okay, so let's break this down real quick. Think of your cycle in 2 halves. First, you have the follicular phase. That's when an egg is growing. Then, after you ovulate, you're in the luteal phase. Now, the length of each of these phases is what's super important. If one of those is too long or too short, that can be a subtle clue that something else is going on, maybe with your thyroid or your prolactin levels, or even your ovarian reserve, which is the number of eggs you have. See? It's so much more than just getting your period on time. Okay, so that whole idea of looking deeper, it leads us perfectly into our second myth. And this one is all about realizing that fertility is absolutely a team sport. I mean, just look at this. It doesn't get much clearer. The science shows that a full 50% of infertility cases involve male factors. It is a 50-50 split. Period. And even though so much of the conversation and the pressure tends to fall on women, the biology is crystal clear. This is a shared journey. And here's why that 50-50 number is so important, and actually really hopeful. The entire time it takes to create new sperm is about 90 days. This is fantastic news. Why? Because it means that lifestyle changes a man makes today can have a real, measurable impact on sperm quality in just about 3 months. Okay, we are halfway through, and this next one is a really big deal. We need to talk about a hidden factor that can seriously hijack your fertility, and that's chronic inflammation. Now, you might hear people say, oh, inflammation is just a buzzword, or that it's all out of your hands. But what Dr. Crawford argues is that in the world we live in today, actively managing inflammation isn't just a nice idea. It's absolutely essential. First things first, it's super important to understand that not all inflammation is bad. You've got acute inflammation. That's the good kind. It's what helps you heal a cut, and it's even part of the process for ovulation and implantation. But then there's chronic, low-grade inflammation, and that's a whole different story. It basically puts your body on constant high alert, and that can mess with your hormones and damage both egg and sperm quality. So what can you actually do about it? This is where you get to take back some control. You can fight chronic inflammation by eating anti-inflammatory foods, staying away from toxins, managing your stress, and, this is a big one, getting enough sleep. Oh, and here's a super interesting one. Building muscle actually helps your body handle glucose better, which fights insulin resistance, a huge driver of inflammation. All right, let's move on to myth #4. And this one tackles a question that comes up all the time. Just how long should you wait before you ask for help? You've probably heard the old advice, right? Try for a full year before you even think about seeing a doctor. But look at this. Just a decade ago, it was 1 in 8 couples facing infertility. Now, in the US, it's 1 in 5. That's a huge jump. And as these rates keep climbing, that old just wait a year advice is getting more and more outdated. So the main point here is pretty simple. You do not have to just sit around and wait. You can be your own best advocate and get some key information early on. Things like knowing your AMH level. That gives you a rough idea of your egg count. You can also get your anatomy checked, and of course, a semen analysis. Getting this info up front gives you a powerful baseline right from the very beginning. And that brings us to our 5th and final myth for today. This one zeroes in on that second half of your cycle, a part that's so critical for pregnancy, and it's surrounded by so much misinformation online. We're talking about the luteal phase. So let's get really clear on what we're talking about. Luteal phase deficiency. It's a real clinical diagnosis. It's not just a vague feeling. It's specifically defined as having a luteal phase that's 11 days long or shorter, or having consistent spotting during that time. Being precise here is how we cut through all that noise and confusion you see online. And this is so important because it debunks something that happens all the time. You might get told to get one single blood test to check your progesterone. See, the thing is, your body releases progesterone in pulses. That means your levels can literally swing from 3 all the way to 40 in a single day. So a single blood test with a low number, it can be so misleading and cause a ton of unnecessary worry. Okay, this really gets to the heart of it. A problem in that second half of the cycle, the luteal phase, usually isn't a progesterone problem on its own. It's usually just a symptom of something happening earlier in the cycle, like a weak or abnormal signal for ovulation coming from the brain. So the fix isn't just to add more progesterone, it's about improving the quality of ovulation in the first place. So when you boil everything we've talked about down to its core, you get to this one powerful idea. Maybe the biggest myth of all is that you just have to wait, that you're powerless, and this is all out of your control. So let's completely reframe how we think about this, okay? This isn't a waiting game. It's a preparation phase. It's your chance to learn, to optimize, and to take charge of the things you can control. So the real question isn't what if something is wrong, but what can I do next? What's one thing, just one small thing, you can do today to get to know your body better?